Level 1, America, that Hershey's bar you ate last week. That Reese's cup you called a treat? You weren't eating chocolate. You were eating 10% cacao mixed with vegetable oil, sugar, and chemicals designed to trick your brain into thinking it tastes good. But here's the part that'll wreck you. European tourists say American chocolate tastes like vomit. Not as an insult. As a fact, Hershey's manufacturing creates butyric acid, the exact chemical compound in human vomit. You've been eating vomit-flavored sugar bars since you were 5 years old. Every birthday, every Halloween, every Valentine's Day, every Christmas stocking, your parents gave you trash and told you it was special. You believed them. You defended it in arguments with friends. You're still defending it right now in your head. And here's what makes it worse. You chose this. As an adult, you walked into stores and bought more. You could have Googled best chocolate in the world at any point in the last 10 years. You didn't. You kept eating garbage because it was convenient. You've wasted thousands of hours eating fake chocolate. Thousands of moments that could have been better. And you can't get that time back ever. Level 2, Germany. This is where you learn what chocolate actually tastes like. Crack open a Rittersport or Milka bar. Close your eyes. Taste it. That's real cacao. Real vanilla. Real milk. No butyric acid. No fake anything. Just chocolate doing what chocolate is supposed to do. And here's what'll destroy you. This is the baseline. This is the minimum standard chocolate should meet. Germany isn't fancy. Germany isn't luxury. Germany is just not garbage. It's the starting point, the floor. And most of the world can't even reach this level, including the country you grew up in. Think about that. The minimum standard for decent chocolate is higher than everything you've been eating. You've been living below the baseline your entire life. You settled for trash when decent chocolate was sitting right there on the shelf next to the trash. And you never knew. You could have been eating this the whole time, but you didn't, because you were programmed to think Hershey's was normal. And now you're realizing it's not. And that realization is going to follow you every time you walk past the chocolate aisle. Level 3, Switzerland. This is where you realize you've been settling your entire life. You've eaten Lindt before, maybe at an airport. Maybe someone gave it to you as a fancy gift, and you thought this is nice. Wrong. You experienced maybe 5% of what Swiss chocolate actually is. You tasted the export version, the dumbed-down version made for people who don't know better. That silky texture you felt when it melted in your mouth? That's not natural. That's not chocolate being chocolate. That's a machine called a conch grinding cocoa for 72 hours straight until it breaks down into molecular submission. The Swiss don't make chocolate. They engineer it into a sensory drug. And here's the part that'll ruin you forever. They use milk from cows grazing on alpine wildflowers at 6,000 feet elevation. Cows that eat flowers you'll never see. Flowers that only grow at specific altitudes in specific valleys. You'll never taste milk like that again. Ever. Real Swiss chocolate, not the airport version, costs $20 to $40 per bar. And once you try it, every chocolate bar you've ever eaten becomes a joke. A childhood memory you can't go back to. You cross a line you can't uncross. You'll remember the exact moment you tasted it. And every time you eat cheap chocolate after that, you'll think about it. You'll compare. You'll feel the disappointment. Every single time. And you're about to cross even worse lines. Level 4, Belgium. This is where you stop being able to eat cheap chocolate ever again. Brussels has more chocolate shops per square mile than coffee shops. More than banks. More than pharmacies. Why? Because Belgians treat chocolate like religion, like national identity, like warfare. They handcraft pralines and truffles using techniques passed down through bloodlines like family secrets. Master chocolatiers train for years under other masters before they're allowed to open their own shop. This isn't a job. This is a legacy. Pierre Marcolini charges $5 per piece, not per box, per single piece of chocolate the size of your thumb. And people wait in line for hours to buy them. They plan trips around it. They budget for it months in advance. But here's the insane part. The Belgian government has actual laws protecting chocolate recipes. Government-enforced quality standards. Inspectors. Regulations. You can't sell trash and call it Belgian chocolate. They'll shut you down and fine you. They treat chocolate like national security. You thought you could eat cheap chocolate and be happy? You can't. Not anymore. Because now you know what you're missing. And every gas station chocolate bar will remind you of what you'll never afford to have every day. You'll walk past the candy aisle and feel it. That little voice that says, this isn't good enough. That's not snobbery. That's awareness. And awareness is suffering. This knowledge is a curse. But you're already cursed. Might as well keep going. Level 5, France. This is where chocolate stops being food and becomes existential philosophy. French chocolatiers don't make chocolate. They conduct expeditions. They fly to Madagascar, Venezuela, Papua New Guinea, Colombia, spending weeks on remote farms hand-selecting cacao beans like they're choosing diamonds from a mine. Valrhona, Michel Clizel, Jacques Genin. These aren't brands. These are institutions. Single-origin bars cost $25 to $40. Each bar comes with a booklet, tasting notes, origin maps, harvest details, notes of red berries, tobacco leaf, roasted almonds, and volcanic soil. You're not eating chocolate anymore. You're eating terroir, geography compressed into flavor. The rainfall that season, the soil composition, the exact angle of sunlight the trees received. Every bite is a story told in sensory overload. And here's what'll destroy you completely. Once someone tastes French luxury chocolate, you ruin them permanently. They can't go back to normal chocolate. You take away their ability to enjoy simple pleasures. You curse them with knowledge they can't unlearn. This is the chocolate you buy when you're trying to impress someone. And it works every single time. Not because it's expensive, but because you're giving them a glimpse of a world they'll never be able to afford full-time. You create permanent dissatisfaction. On purpose. You show them something perfect, then take it away. Think about the cruelty of that. Someone gifts you this chocolate. You taste it. It's transcendent. Then it's gone. And now every chocolate you eat for the next 5 years is measured against that one moment. That's not a gift. That's psychological warfare. But we're still not at the top. Not even close. Level 6, Ecuador. Now we're in territory most people will die never knowing exists. Ecuador grows the Nacional bean, a variety thought to be extinct for 80 years. Botanists searched for it. Chocolate historians mourned it. Scientists declared it gone forever. But it survived, hidden in remote farms in the Ecuadorian jungle that wouldn't sell to outsiders. That refused to sell to outsiders. When you taste Ecuadorian Nacional chocolate, you're not tasting modern chocolate. You're tasting genetic history, flavors that exist nowhere else on Earth. Jasmine, white flowers, tropical fruit that hasn't been named yet. Floral notes so intense that chocolate experts can identify Nacional blindfolded in under 10 seconds. Brands like Pacari and República del Cacao win more international awards than countries 50 times their size. Ecuador, a small South American country, dominates global chocolate competitions. Why? Because they don't mass produce. They don't export millions of tons. They cultivate chocolate like fine wine. Small batches. Obsessive quality control. Zero compromises. Ever. But here's the brutal truth. Most people will never taste this. You probably won't either. Not because you can't afford it. You can find it online for $15 to $30 a bar. You'll never taste it because even if you buy it, even if you unwrap it, even if you try it, you won't understand what you're tasting. You'll miss the nuance. You'll miss the floral notes. You'll miss the complexity. You'll eat God-tier chocolate with a palate trained on Hershey's trash. You'll waste it. And that might be worse than never trying it at all. Wasting perfection because you're not ready for it. Because you waited too long. Because you spent 30 years eating garbage and now your taste buds can't detect excellence anymore. There's one level left, and it's going to hurt. Level 7. God tier. Madagascar. You didn't see this coming. Most people don't even know Madagascar makes chocolate. They think it's just a movie about talking animals. But this island, this tiny island off the coast of Africa, sits at the absolute peak of the chocolate world. Madagascar produces less than 1% of global cacao. Less than 1%. But it's the most prized cacao on the entire planet. They grow the Criollo bean, the original, ancient cacao that the Aztecs worshipped as food of the gods. The cacao they reserved for royalty. The cacao they used in religious ceremonies. It's nearly impossible to cultivate. The trees are fragile. The yield is pathetically low. The labor is intense. And the flavors are impossible to replicate anywhere else. Raspberry, cherry, citrus. Bright fruit notes mixed with deep chocolate richness. It doesn't taste like chocolate. It tastes like chocolate's final form. Its ultimate expression. Imbe Porcelana uses Madagascan Criollo for bars that cost $90 to $180 each. Per bar, not per box. Chocolatiers around the world beg for contracts with these farms. They offer premium prices. They promise exclusivity. They fight over access like it's oil rights. Because once you taste Madagascar chocolate, everything else tastes dead, flat, lifeless, like you're chewing brown wax. This is what chocolate was 500 years ago, before colonization, before industrialization, before we mass-produced it and turned it into cheap candy, before we destroyed it. This is perfection in its purest form. And here's the part that'll haunt you. You'll probably never taste it. Not because you can't find it, not because you can't afford one bar, but because by the time you realize you want it, by the time you understand what it represents, you'll have already wasted 20, 30, maybe 40 years eating trash. You can't get those years back. You can't undo the thousands of moments you settled for vomit-flavored garbage. You can't untaste the Hershey's bars. You can't reclaim your childhood. You've been living in ignorance your entire life. And now you're not. And that's the worst part. Knowledge without the ability to go back in time and fix it. You're awake now. And you're going to notice every time you eat bad chocolate. Every time someone offers you cheap candy. Every time you walk past the chocolate aisle. You're going to remember this moment. When you realized you'd been lied to about something as simple as chocolate. And if they lied to you about this, what else did they lie about?